TheorySabers.com. Finally, the end is here, and I couldn't be more happy that this show is actually over. And that really pains me to say this, because I would have loved for it to be everything that I had hoped for it to be, which was something really cool. Unfortunately, it wasn't. And I'm going to explain my reasons in depth here in this video. Before we begin, as a happiness that the show is over, I'm doing a 15% sale on TheorySabers.com, which is my brand, my company. Code is REJOICE. It's a 24-hour sale. It's going to end tonight, so whenever you're seeing this video, it'll probably be done around 3 a.m. Eastern Time on the 18th, so take advantage of it while you can. So let's get into this. We pick up from episode 6 with Osha wearing the helmet, who ends up having some kind of spasm and sends Chimere into a weird alternate world, much like Anastasia did to poor Torben when she got all close and personal to tell him that she'll never deny him and always give him what he wants, who later offed himself for literally no reason. You guys remember Torben? Yeah, poor guy. Anyways, much like that, Osha has some power surge, and it makes Chimere's eyes all black as he finally takes the helmet off. Now, personally, I didn't really understand this scene. I was thinking maybe she's drawing on some powers from her mother, but also, who really understands anything in this show anyways? The scene was kind of like a Professor Xavier sort of moment from Logan, where he just loses his ability to control his powers and just paralyzes everyone around him. Switching to May and Soul, she uses the droid that she reset to factory settings like an iPhone to break free from the shackles that Soul bound her to on the table, where he's called the Jedi to come in and explain everything to them. She lures him towards her by making him overly emotional, no big surprise there, for killing her mom, and she electrifies him and runs away to the escape pod, abandoning ship like Grievous.
Time to abandon ship.
Now, instead of continuing to run, he runs after her, stops for a second, yells her name, and then continues to run, at which point it's too late and she gets away. As Soul chases her in an asteroid field, the Gopher tracker guy gets angry and sabotages his ship by yanking out wires. Why? Just because. I don't really know. Maybe someone knows the answer in the comments. Let us know, please. Maybe he smelled danger. I don't know. They crash land on Brendok. Vernestra gets another joke about having diarrhea during hyperspace from the politician, who somehow also knows that she has tummy problems and also knows, the bigger issue, that the Jedi have been slain. Who told him about this? How did this get out? I don't know. Now, just like Snarky J mentioned, I'm thinking this is probably some sort of an inside joke that Leslie has with her wife, which is all cute and fun, but please don't keep interjecting that stuff into Star Wars. There's no reason why a Jedi should have diarrhea or vomiting when they're traveling in space. It's a Star Wars. Powerful Jedi Master goes against some of the most powerful beings in the galaxy and saves the day, but furiously needs a toilet when she goes into hyperspace, which is quite often. I think humanizing Jedi Masters is fun to a degree, but, you know, it gets to a point where, why? We don't see Anakin ever asking to use the toilet, do we?
This is outrageous.
Anyways, nitpick, not really a big deal, but just another, at this point, just another dart on the board. Anyways, this politician who is now in the control room, thanks to the random Jedi guy for letting him in a classified area, great work, has heard that she's covering up a murder investigation. Yeah, that's right. You heard that right. Everyone in the galaxy apparently knows that the Jedi have been dying. Not only that, but it's being literally covered up, except for Grandmaster Yoda. Pretty cool. Nice. It's just a publicly known news thing at this time that both she has tummy issues and she's covering up a murder. Nice. I wonder who else knows about this information. Or rather, I wonder who told this politician about this information. Maybe it was Ki-Adi-Mundi. Maybe. She says she has the authority to take independent action if there's no larger threat. You know, because like 10 Jedi Masters dying isn't really anything to worry about, especially after a time of peace, like Ki-Adi-Mundi said, 1,000 years, no one's really died, the Sith have never returned. But here we have, you know, like 10 to 15 Jedi Masters that are just dead. Nobody sensed it. It's a cover-up story. It's all good. Vernestra's got it under control. Yoda didn't sense anything. Nothing out of the norm. Just business as usual in Coruscant at the Jedi Temple. I think what blows my mind is that so many people know about dead Jedi during a time of supposed peace that Ki-Adi-Mundi preaches.
Impossible.
Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible. Impossible.
The Sith have been extinct for a millennium.
All the Jedi in that room with Ki-Adi-Mundi knew. This random politician heard it from another politician or someone. He knows, Vernestra knows, Sol and Osha and May and all these other people know. Pretty much everybody but Yoda. The politician pushes to have Vernestra investigated if she doesn't come up with the suspect and neutralize the issue and have it under control. So inevitably, in the end, well, we'll get to that in a minute. Chimere and Osha continue their lovers' quarrel, which in the end, of course, works out. She denies him right now to be trained, and we move to them leaving the planet. But not before, wait for it, Darth Plagueis shows up in the shadows. That's right, Darth freaking Plagueis. Creeping out from a dark cave as he peers in the shadows at them. Darth Plagueis the Wise. Where the hell was he this whole time? Nice of him to show up. An influential and galactically respected man, super rich, known as Higo Damask, that isn't supposed to be alive yet. And yet, if he is, he'd be no more than 15 or maybe 20 years old. But really, let's be real. The age thing is not the issue, just like the age thing wasn't the issue with Ki-Adi-Mundi. Yet, the other side that supports the show so much made that to be the focal point, that's what people are pissed off about. You know what? I don't care. Change a birthday. Whatever. No big deal. Rather, it's his fascination with Osha and May that keeps him a creepy lurker in the back to learn that the witches were the first to manipulate the Force to create life. And he got so turned on by it, so intrigued, that he made it his life's work to try and fail at it, at what only the witches could do and succeed at. God, this show just spits all over Legends. And one of my favorite characters of all time that I wanted to have in live action so badly. And this is how they do it. A freaking shoehorned moment just to say, here he is! Here's Darth Plagueis. We put him in, and we're going to do a lot more with him with Season 2, as Leslie Headland has said. He's keeping tabs on the girls because they're a virgins in the Force, and they were created by the Force itself. So by the time Anakin rolls around, he's feeling even more like a failure. It's like the Oprah show. Virgins for you, a virgin's for you, another virgin's in the Force for you. Hey, we'll give you 2. Why not? I really don't like this show. I really don't like it for what it's done to the characters, for how it's interjected itself and shoehorned itself into right before The Phantom Menace, which is what George started writing in 1994, 1995, in his little room, as we've seen in the behind the scenes.
There is drama inherent in it because there is a lot of betrayal, a lot of things like that going on.
Which is supposed to be 1,000 years of peace. 1,000 years of no Jedi dying, no Sith showing up, and now it's just all ruined. And my question is, I wonder who signed off on this. And as we've heard Leslie Headland say, that Pablo signed off on the majority of things from that interview she had, as well as, of course, I would imagine Dave Filoni would sign off on things too. Why is this okay to sign off on? The majority of people have a problem with it, so it obviously doesn't make sense to put this in the show. I don't get it. Maybe I'm missing something. I don't know. Let's continue, shall we? And if you're still here, good for you. Jedi Master Pepto-Bismol blasts off into hyperspace to Brendok, as Sol tries to find May back at the Witch Coven in the mountains where they retreat to. We see the bridges that Sol tried to hold up with the Force and remember just how ridiculous that scene really was, where he could have easily held on to the girls and avoided all of this instead of struggling to hold the extremely heavy bridges from collapsing. Then at the last moment choosing just one of the girls and then running to actually grab her when he was just using the Force to hold the bridges, could have held the girls, failed at doing that, failed at holding just one, then ran over to grab her. Well, all right. I guess he was Force-drained from holding the bridges up. May climbs up from where Sol leaped to grab Osha's hand as a kid, and, it's like poetry, it rhymes, or, something like that. They all walk around and reminisce about the bricks burning from a candle, and Osha gets inside. Chimere and Sol fight. It's very Matrix-esque, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, slow-mo, and I'm looking forward to Shadiversity's breakdown of the fight scene, because, look, I already noticed a crap ton, but we'll just leave it to the professionals to break that down. Let's handle the lore here, which is what I do. May tells Osha the truth about Sol killing Anastasia, their mother. They failed to leave out the part where she turned into a sharp-toothed, long-faced demon creature with black eyes that turned into black evaporating smoke, who also started to take the child and turn her into a black evaporating smoke, disintegrating her as she started to look afraid and bewildered. And then Soul did the right thing by eliminating the threat when previously they had taken over the mind of one of their Padawans, and he's now the bad guy. Soul did what he thought was right, what he thought was best in the moment. But yeah, sure, he killed her for no reason, I guess. She confesses that she failed as a Jedi because she couldn't contain her anger against her sister. And as Leslie said, the Jedi are apprehensive to train Anakin because of their failure with Osha. Nice. It's a good thing they had so many warnings and they got to practice on Osha's failure so they would know exactly what not to do when Anakin shows up to avoid, a whole bunch of destruction and stuff. Oops, I guess not. Lightsabers smoke and spark now. I guess that's a thing, whereas in the prequel trilogy, it just doesn't happen.
Sense great fear in you, Skywalker.
Soul disarms Chimere, and he's about to kill him like Mace Windu did to Palpatine.
You are under arrest, my lord.
But May intervenes, beats him up, and disarms him like he's nothing, and saves the day. She throws the lightsaber away, which clearly was not from TheorySabers.com because it dents and cracks from a simple little toss into the wind, exposing the Kyber crystal. She wants Soul to stand trial and confess that he eliminated their mom. He says that they were created by the Force, that they're not even twins and they're just one person, and that creating a entity like that is a very dangerous power. Someone who is extremely powerful could only do that. And he's right. Nobody else in the galaxy was able to do it. Not Plagueis, not Palpatine, nobody else. But Leslie Headland's randomized new characters that she created and shoehorned in to right before the Phantom Menace. Osha shows up, Soul confesses and answers all of Osha's questions and basically proves to her and the audience how he protected her for all of those years, from the Jedi kicking her out, sending her away, rejecting her from being a Jedi, which is what she wanted. He essentially protected her and saved her. He confesses his love for her like a daughter, and she uses the first Force choke, I guess, ever in Star Wars here. And that's what it's supposed to, I suppose, establish. And it does exactly what Chimere ordered May to do from the start, which was to kill a Jedi without a weapon, to use, the Force, the dark side of the Force. And Osha chokes the absolute life out of Soul, who allows her to do this willingly by saying it's okay as he drops to his knees. And we see what looks to be a CGI tear speed run down his cheek. Nice. $180 million budget. Can't even get a proper CGI tear in there. But hey, I guess, the CGI in Anakin's pear bite from Attack of the Clones isn't any better. But mind you, that budget was like almost half of this.
If Master Obi-Wan caught me doing this, he'd be very grumpy.
And also about 22 years earlier. She turns the blue crystal to red. So let's pause for just a second here, okay? Shall we? Have to explain the whole crystal thing to you guys, because I know this is going to be probably controversial and a lot of people may not know or understand of it. You might be new to the channel or whatever. So Disney created this new rule when they took over Lucasfilm and bought it, that red lightsabers are no longer synthetic like what they used to be when George Lucas owned Star Wars. They're now turned red by bleeding the crystal. Kind of like a mood ring, if you're angry, it turns red. And you do this by pouring your hatred into the crystal itself. It's not an easy feat to do. Darth Vader did this and failed several times in the Vader comics. Here's a clip from one of the comics that I covered.
Throwing all of his hatred, betrayal, fear, sorrow, and everything broken within the boy who dreamed of becoming a Jedi. As lightning crackled from the fiery skies above and lava swirled around him like the pain within his black soul, he let out a scream as if he were being born 1,000 times.
Until finally getting it right. Mind you, he was conflicted, of course. However, much more powerful than Dagan Gera or Osha or May. And I believe he's been through a lot more pain than any of them combined. Anakin lost so many people, and was born into slavery. But hey, I guess Osha can do everything easily. Soul dies, Kimir is happy, and goes to console her, where she gets angry, lashes out, ignites the saber, which is now bleeding, so it starts to turn red, and she looks very shocked and confused. Vernestra and the band of Jedi from Wish arrive, who can't use the Force to find the most powerful Force manifested Chosen One children's, Osha and May in the galaxy, 2 miles from them. They have to follow the Gopher tracker guy to lead them. Nice. The Force works in mysterious ways, I suppose. Vernestra feels the presence of her former Padawan, Kimir, and she uncovers Soul's body, who has moved like 3 times at this point, but, whatever, bloopers happened in the prequels and originals too, I guess. I guess the Force is just strong with him. Osha and May meet up at the tree from their childhood as they hug and crouch, and then Kimir shows up, saying, "If I sense you, so can the Jedi. But that's the thing, Kimir, they can't sense them. So they need the tracker." Osha says that she wants to go train with him and to let May go. So they hear the Jedi tracker nearby and they got to make a fast decision. So May says that the Jedi are going to use her to get to both of them. So the easy answer is, Kimir says, let's just give her Alzheimer's. I have this power where I can completely wipe her mind and make her forget about everything, including her own identity. I guess Kimir could have used this against the Jedi, but maybe he forgot about it. It's the irony of that power, I suppose. Because that would be quite a massive plot-changing ability. Imagine, fighting someone and then mind-wiping them mid-battle. And then they're like, why am I here? Oh, you know what? I don't even know how to wield a lightsaber. What is the Force? But then I guess you could be like Rey and you could just have someone say the Force and then they'll all of a sudden know how to use it. So, in the end, Kimir kind of gets what he wants. He wanted the rule of 2. He wanted an Acolyte. So he mind-wipes May with a wave of his hand, super quick, and that's that. Osha, who is back to loving her sister again after having, 50 different split personalities during the show, literally is given a memory wipe, which is one of the most horrible diseases that a human can get, which is Alzheimer's, gets arrested by the Jedi, and the two literally completely leave. They literally piss off. They just leave her there, confused, not knowing who she is, and get arrested by the Jedi. Nice. Cool. While Osha leaves with her new boyfriend, Kimir. Lost and confused on her identity, May is taken to Vernestra, who stands like Palpatine, says, remove her restraints, and then, get this, she says, leave us.
You no longer need those. Guards, leave us.
The whole show is just a very copy-paste of moments of Star Wars, quotes, characters, vergences, Qui-Gon trying to be Soul, or Soul trying to be Qui-Gon. Osha and May are Anakin, the Vergence and the Force. Then you got freaking Plagueis coming in. There's a lot of quotes from this episode alone that were in the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy. But I guess that helps with this ambiguous, confusing, wishy-washy, diluted dribble of a show for $180 million. Nice. May remembers nothing other than fragments of her childhood. As Vernestra talks about how kind and brilliant and compassionate of a man Soul was, she then stands before a trial and completely throws him under the bus, blaming the killing of the Jedi that Kimir dealt on Soul to cover his own ass, allegedly. She blames all of this trouble on one flawed man. Literally, that's the quote. One flawed man is the problem. Nice choice of words, Leslie. We aren't all your former boss. Some of us are decent, I suppose. Kimir and Osha hold hands as they look into the sunset. The new Sith baddies out there that Plagueis knows of. The final scene is Vernestra walking into Jedi Master Yoda's quarters, and she says, yo, we need to talk. I guess Yoda, was unaware of all of the killings. It just right over him. He is pretty short after all. Yet he could sense Anakin killing random Tusken Raiders on Tatooine, sensing Order 66, communing in the Force with Qui-Gon Jinn, or, in general, just sensing the fact that she is lying to him blatantly. But, hey, I guess he didn't learn those powers for maybe another 87 years, which is when the Phantom Menace starts. Maybe that's when he had his, growth spurt, and he was like, oh, I got some new powers now. Check these out. Man, I really went into this show with an open mind. I've been excited for this show since years ago when it was first announced. And I have to say, this is by far and large the worst Star Wars, and it's not even Star Wars. This is the worst show I think I have possibly ever seen. For me, and you can agree or disagree and let me know in the comments, I think this is worse than Game of Thrones final season. I think this is worse than The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. I think this is worse than Book of Boba Fett and Kenobi combined. I think this is potentially the worst show I have ever seen in my life. Take Star Wars out of it, which confines it and constricts it to even more rules. Just from a writing standpoint of the wishy-washiness of the characters, the overall premise of the witches and the Jedi coming in. And you know what? I don't even want to reminisce. I don't even want to reminisce about this show. I want to leave it in the dust. We're going to talk about it this week. I'll be on Open Bar, and then I'll be chatting with Gary on Friday Night Tights and with Mahler, and that'll be fun. And then, we'll probably have a few back and forths with the show and stuff for the next maybe a little bit, and then that'll be it. I've never witnessed something so bad, like just bad. And, if you like the show, more power to you. Continue liking the show. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Please enjoy it. I'm never, ever going to be a person that'll say, hey, if you like the show, you're not a true Star Wars fan, or you shouldn't like the show. No, dude, I wish I liked it, but I don't. I think it is such shit. I think it is the worst thing I have literally ever seen in a show, media. The fact that this cost $180 million is so embarrassing. I think Leslie should be embarrassed. I think Lucasfilm should be embarrassed to ever produce garbage like this, and I hope they never will again. But we'll probably get a second season, and we can all talk about it then and enjoy the watch parties. But yeah, that's my view on the Acolyte. I hope you enjoyed my sentiments. I don't even know if you could call this a breakdown. It's more like a freaking expose down. I don't know. Again, these are only my opinions. Go check out other people's opinions online. There's a lot of different ones. And hope you all have a great day. May the Force be with you, always.